This episode of The Checkout is brought to you by Mobile Digital. I think I see a unicorn. It's a marketing channel that allows deep personalization, brand and visual messaging. It has A/B testing, integration into CDPs and CRMs, and here's the best bit. Results in 98% of your audience seeing your message. SMS and MMS is the fastest growing channel directly to the consumer. If you want to get your brand messaging in your customer's hand, head over to mobile.digital, that's mobile.digital as the URL, where you can get started today with a 3-month trial for as low as $147.
Welcome to The Checkout. We catch up with previous Add to Cart guests and ask them 5 quick questions to get to know them better and leave you with a little extra inspiration to get you through your Friday.
Today's checkout features Jason Greenwood from Greenwood Consulting, where he helps B2B and D2C brands across Australia and New Zealand reimagine themselves for the digital age. He describes himself as a digital native, a futurist from way back, and a consultant obsessed with helping businesses do e-commerce right. Jason Greenwood, welcome to The Checkout. I feel like we know so much about you already from your LinkedIn, from your podcast, from your newsletters, but we're going to go to the next level here with 5 quick questions.
Wow.
Number 1, what is the weirdest thing you've ever bought online?
It's not weird to me, but it'd be very weird to the audience. I used to fly competitive radio-controlled helicopters, and my very first ever helicopter I bought from an online RC helicopter store in Hong Kong.
Nice. You still got it?
I don't fly radio-controlled helicopters anymore, but yeah, that was I was really into that for about 10 years.
That's cool.
Spent way too much money. Probably spent $50,000 on helicopters.
Oh, gee whiz. Do you look at drones now and go, oh?
Look, drones are super interesting. Just never got into them.
Fair enough. All right, number 2, who is your favorite retailer?
Wow, that's a tough one. I've probably got a few. I really like what Patagonia does in the market. They have been a market leader in the convergence of content and commerce for such a long time. And they have such a social conscience that just really doesn't seem faked. And they've kind of had it right from their founding, and the lifetime guarantee of their products and the recycling capability of their products. And then the content that they made, where they had a truck that went around America and visited people that needed their garment or their shoes repaired as a whole content series. I just have really always liked how they've gone to market. So even though I'm not a Patagonia customer directly, because I tend to try to buy local and try to buy MacPack in Kathmandu, I just love how they've done commerce for a really long time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one that just keeps coming up over and over again. Number 3, which retail fad do you wish was history? I can't wait for your response on this one.
Shitty click and collect.
What makes shitty click and collect?
So I say shitty click and collect is click and collect that masquerades as click and collect, but it's actually shipped to store.
Yep.
So a lot of merchants, when they first try to do click and collect, it's easier for them to just make their stores a destination in the checkout and say, "Oh, I'll just have it shipped to the store." But then it's still going to take 2 or 3 days to get to the store for click and collect. And then they try to pass it off as true click and collect. I just think that creates such a terrible experience for click and collect that they're actually doing more harm than good. I'd rather see merchants wait until they have a proper distributed order management system in place and do it properly from store stock than do shitty wannabe click and collect.
And what do you think is a minimal pass mark for time between ordering online and being able to pick it up in store?
Well, in that true click and collect environment, it has to be same day. Same day.
Yeah.
Sure, give or take a few hours. Maybe you have a cutoff time at the end of the day or something like that. And well, if I close at 6 p.m., then maybe I have to place my order at least an hour before closing or something like that. But I think it has to be same day. Otherwise, don't bother.
Absolutely. All right, number 4. Can you recommend a book or a podcast that our listeners should immediately get into?
Wow, I've got quite an eclectic mix of podcasts, very intentionally, because I don't want to be in an echo chamber of just e-commerce. In fact, apart from maybe yours, I don't really listen to any e-commerce podcasts at all because I don't want to.
I like that, mate. That maybe.
Yeah. Except for maybe yours. I don't go out there and seek out, but I seek out a lot of business and mindset podcasts. So I love Joe Rogan. I think he's absolutely amazing. Listen to his podcast religiously. I listen to a lot of Kerwin Ray. I think he is amazing. I'm just talking locals here, obviously. Mark Boris, it's called The Mentor. I think his podcast is amazing. I really focus primarily on business and mindset podcasts, positive mindset podcasts. That's, anything that can inspire me to be a better person as well as a better business person. Those are the things that I tend to focus on.
Yeah, nice. Cool. And number 5, finish this sentence. The future of retail is?
The future of
is it
retail
that noise?
Is, man, you're gonna hold me to this. I know it. It depends on how far we're talking, but the future of retail is VR. VR.
Ooh, nice.
Yep.
I knew you weren't going to say headless.
No. I think the future of retail is VR. That's what I think.
Why is that?
I think once VR gets to the point where it's Matrix-like and we can't tell the difference between physical and virtual, why would I get in my car and drive to a physical store if I can feel like I'm literally in a physical store, but online and connected remotely, like the holodeck of the Starship Enterprise? If I can basically have that type of experience, then there's no need for physical retail anymore because you can replicate that in such an immersive way digitally. And I think that AR is leading the way. And I think that both with wearables, particularly, and that merging of online, offline, even in our everyday life, where we're going to be able to have, AR glasses with overlays of information of everything that's around us, almost like a heads-up display, like a fighter cockpit. I think that's kind of that immediate next step. And then I think, we'll have VR bodysuits will be next. And then once you get beyond that, then you've got direct brain stimulation and brain implants and the whole 9 yards. So, Elon's obviously working pretty hard on that. So, yeah, look, I think VR in the long term, say 10 years at least plus, maybe even 20 to 30 years plus, VR replaces physical experiences once it's good enough to where we can't easily distinguish the difference.
There we go. You heard it here first. Jason Greenwood, thank you so much for joining us on the checkout today. And go back and listen to the main episode if you want more of Jason's thoughts, especially around retailing in New Zealand. To hear more from Jason, jump back into episode 99, where we deep dive into the state of online commerce in New Zealand and get his tips on how Australian businesses can expand into the New Zealand market successfully. And in true Jason style, it's all done with no-nonsense, straightforward advice. Enjoy. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep adding to cart.